Look at this little cutie. Look at that little face. Okay, nope, nope, we're not having it. We're not having it. I tried. Hi, I'm back. I'm Eva. So this last weekend I went to my birth doula training and it was freaking awesome. So I decided to go with DONA. And I picked DONA mainly because they were offering training semi close to when I wanted to start, and they offered certification. And if you don't know anything about the doula world, it kind of is like the wild, wild west out here. There's no governing agency, so pretty much anyone can say they're a doula, and it is so. So if you're looking for a doula, I would inquire as to like where they were trained, if they were trained. I'm not saying that someone can't totally be a natural. Obviously, women have been helping other women give birth for centuries, forever, without having a certification. But especially if that doula is charging you a ton of money, I think it's worth knowing how they know what they know and what they're going to offer you. But I digress. So I went to my training this weekend. I was the only one in Connecticut. I have another training in 2 weeks to do my postpartum doula training, so I'll be talking about that. That one is also DONA. But this one was here in Connecticut. It was run by an agency in Boston. And it's only like part one of quite a few things I need to do to become certified. So like I was saying, you have to do a lot of things to get certified. So I made this list of everything I have to do. It doesn't look like I filled out a lot of it, but most of it is books that I need to read. And then I also have to attend 3 births, write an essay, get evaluated. There's a lot left to do. But I am trained, so that's step 1. So I want to talk about the training. I'll talk about my next steps probably in another video, and also probably after I do my postpartum training. But for this video, I wanted to talk about my training. So it was 3 days. It was hardcore. We had homework, but it's all good. So I was pleasantly surprised that there were actually like 4 other people of color in the group. So that was like freaking awesome from the jump. So that made me feel a lot better. But the whole entire group was awesome. Like they knew a lot. There were a lot of nurses in there. So, and there was one woman that was returning to like recertify herself. So she knew a lot about birth. So like, I just learned so much from them. So that was really cool. So what happened? So the first day was our childbirth education requirement, and it was this 8 hours of learning all about birth. And I've never given birth, so I mean I didn't roll up in there thinking I knew everything, but I learned a lot more. And it was cool hearing like people's birth stories. Some of them were of course horror stories because that seems to be the norm. Yeah, so the whole first day was literally childbirth and thinking about what kind of clients we could work with, what kind of clients we couldn't work with, what are our triggers, and like being for real with yourself about like who you can and cannot work with, and why, and like what kind of person do you think you'll be in the delivery room. So some doulas are like super hippie and have flower petals on the floor, and others have affirmations on the wall, which is probably me, and like candles and aromatherapy, and there's just a whole variety of ways you could be. Some are just like straight up coaches, others are more nurturing. I actually really don't know. I don't know what I'll be. I guess we'll all find out. I'm sure it will be very validating though. But the whole first day was childbirth, so that was really cool. We watched like 4 very extremes of women giving birth or like their decisions around birth. I personally was just kind of stuck on the privilege because it was like 4 white women, and just thinking about if a black woman had made these choices, like how fast DCF would be there, especially one which the woman was like advised to have her birth in a hospital because she was high risk and she was older, and she was like, nah, I'm not doing it. And just like the doctor came to her house and was like, you should have this baby in the hospital, and she was like, no. And then like she had a prolapse cord and she still didn't go to the hospital. And I'm just watching this and thinking, how many people have had DCF called on them for less? But again, I digress. But for me, I think a lot about the clients that I'm most likely to be working with, and I don't anticipate them being super rich. If they are super rich, awesome, because that means the paychecks I can live. But it was hard to ignore the privilege in the birth educator part of it, especially because of the birth stories that I've heard from people that I actually do know and how that experience has gone. So the first day was like totally all birth and thinking about yourself as a birth doula, but mainly like what happens to a woman's body during birth and all the different ways the baby's head can get caught in there and angles. And oh man, like for such a small space for a baby to go through, there's a lot of ways that that baby can get caught up. So that was a bit stressful, but babies are the wild card in birth, and it was good to know what's happening and certain ways you can move a woman or things you can do to try to get the baby to reposition. And of course, the gravity always helping you out, unless the baby is a super wild card, but it was good. Then the next morning we had breastfeeding class. Oh man, our instructor loved breastfeeding. It really feels like when it comes to breastfeeding, it's either like breastfeed or die, or I'm about this formula life, and it's very hard. It feels to find people in between. And just in reading some of these breastfeeding books, I understand why people kind of like kill themselves to breastfeed, but at the same time, you can't breastfeed your kid if you're dead. So I don't know, like it was, the teacher from the beginning was like, we're not going to have a discussion or a debate about whether breast is best or fed is best, because breast milk is everything. And I was like, okay. So I'm down with breast milk. I think breast milk is magic. I'm not arguing with the science at all about the importance of breast milk and breastfeeding and the benefits to mama and baby, but also having experienced friends like go to the like brinks of sanity to breastfeed or to pump because they felt like they were not going to be a good mom if they weren't breastfeeding. That's where I struggle with. So like I think breast milk's really awesome. I think it's really incredible how your body can react to your baby to give your baby what you need with breast milk. But again, I struggle with the extremes that people go through because I feel they have to, whereas I'm more of a fed is best, and I'm okay with that. Okay, so then we did our whole morning on breastfeeding. We looked at lots of breasts. We looked at lots of nipples. We talked about a good latch and the importance of finding that, and a lactation consultant, and how much should it hurt and what should you do if your breast becomes like blistered or bleeding or cracking. And oh man, it's just seems like a lot of work. It seems like a lot of work, and just the fact that babies need to feed so often. So like I said on my Facebook post, like I thought I knew about boobs, I thought I knew about breastfeeding because my two closest friends that have had babies spend an exorbitant amount of time talking about breastfeeding and the struggles of breastfeeding. And normally I tune out because I'm just like, we've been through this, and maybe I should not tune out because it's a lot. So breastfeeding came, took a break, and then we went back to training again. I felt it was kind of perfect because our trainer had to leave because she's a doula and she had a birth that night, and her backup, who was supposed to like just meet with us that night, also had a birth. So then we like ended early, but then she gave us a ton of homework, so like we really didn't get off early, but that's fine. It was just a bunch of birth scenarios and like what should we do. So like that was kind of stressful because I'm just like, oh man, like so many things can go wrong in birth or right in birth. And as much as I'll have to like talk to my clients about not like trying to plan the perfect birth because so many things can go wrong, like this is really like a super low risk way of like learning about or thinking about all the things that could go wrong and how would you help your client through that. So that was cool. We talked a bit about business. Basically learned that the hardest part for us to get certified is going to be to find the births which is fair because I feel like if you're gonna have someone in there helping you with your birth, like you should make sure it's someone that you trust and someone that you think will actually be helpful. So I get it, but like honestly, that's the thing I'm the most worried about. I'm not really worried about like all these readings and things we have to write and talking to doctors and all this other stuff. I'm not really worried about that. And so I'm just reading my notes here. I'm trying to think of the things that I learned, or the most interesting things that I learned. So something that was surprising was that even though our teacher runs a doula agency, she also teaches a lot of birth education classes, and she also runs a volunteer program. And like, I guess the message, and particularly from the breastfeeding lactation, was that it's hard to make a living just doing this, and you have to do other things, which I, figured, but it kind of sucked to have like your like success story person be telling you that it's so difficult to make a living out of it. A good thing I learned from the breastfeeding lady was that your boobs are not done growing until after you breastfeed for the first time. So there's hope yet for my very small chest, which made me very excited. So that was exciting. What I definitely learned through our like exercises, we practiced a lot of comfort measures, and we practiced like holding them through like timed contractions. And like what I did learn is I definitely need to be hitting the gym because you use your arms a lot for like hip squeezes, and there's a lot of butt stuff happening. Apparently there's a lot of things I can do to your butt to make your birth feel better, which is cool. Like we're gonna be intimate anyway. But I did not realize there was that much butt activity, but that's cool. I didn't realize, like, obviously I knew the mom was gonna be working out, it's labor. I didn't realize how much I would be working out because we only did a few contractions for maybe 5 minutes, and I was just like, my arms were shaking, so I was like, oh no. So I definitely need to go to the gym because I need to get these guns up, because it's not happening. It should be like a downward thing right here. Like there's just no arm muscles, and you need a lot of arm muscles. And I think this is also where, especially with clients that have partners, where I can be like, we need to work together because we're gonna have to be using all our arm strength to help your boo get through this birth. So that was something new that I didn't know. There are a lot of comfort measures and positioning that you can do during labor. You just have to be able to move. And so hopefully with the births that I do attend, the mom is not confined to her bed and is able to move around, because that's really what's going to make this labor go faster. And if we can do comfort measures, it'll make it less painful without having to rely on medicine. And even if you have medicine, there are still ways to make that less painful and to help you labor faster. So that was something new that I knew of, but like having practiced it on a bunch of non-pregnant people, because we do not want to be inducing women into labor. That was pretty cool. We also did a lot of acupressure and stuff with rebozos, but not rebozos. They're actually like stretchier, and I think I kind of like those better. And I can actually make those. But like we like practice wrapping them on each other, and I was like, this actually feels kind of good, and you can use it on cramps. Again, another video perhaps. And then I didn't know there was so much peeing during birth. Apparently there's a lot of peeing. And you have to pee because your bladder becomes a roadblock to the baby. And I know that's simple biology, but I just never thought about, other organs getting in the way, and just really did not think about peeing that much. I do think about pooping just because that's my friend's fear, so I hear a lot about pooping, but was not thinking that much about peeing. And then again, like I said, just really seeing how much of a wild card birth is, and just like really gonna have to make that clear to my clients. Like we can plan, like you can tell me what your ideal birth is, and you can tell me all the things you want to do, but like when the time comes, like that baby is in control. They're the wild card. So even if you're super healthy, even if you did everything right, that baby's still a wild card. And as much as we can plan for things may go left. So it's really interesting. We did see a C-section. I thought it was really important to see a C-section, so I might just watch some more videos on C-sections, but we watched family-friendly C-sections, which I don't know if we do in Connecticut. I need to do some research, but if we do, that's awesome, and if we don't, then I've got some advocating to do. But yeah, so now I've been going on for almost 15 minutes. This is a long video. So anyway, like I said, The training was awesome. My cohort was awesome. My trainer was awesome. My one gripe, I wouldn't even say it was a major gripe. It's kind of something that I'm getting used to is the diversity part of our training focused on other countries and their cultures. And while that's fascinating, I'm not going to be doing a birth in Turkey. So for me to learn about what happens in Turkey, I thought would be more relevant to talk about the difference in like births and outcomes by like socioeconomic status or by different races, and there are differences in the cultures of different races in America too. And so I don't know, I'm seeing that in my other training that I'm also going to do a video about, that when it comes to talking about diversity and culture, they tend to go international, when I think it's really important to think about how birth is different for different cultures and races here. But it was also like a 10-minute activity, so I mean, like in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't anything anyway. But meh. So I would still recommend it. I thought I learned a lot. I still feel like I have a lot to learn. We got this huge binder full of like even more information that I like didn't even get through. So like I'm really like pumped to be able to learn more and read more, and I'm digging it. I'm hyped. So I will see you, I guess, in a week or so when I go to my training. And it will probably take me that long to edit this because I'm trying to do better. But yeah, that's all I got. So yeah, this is exciting. I'm really excited and happy that I decided to do this, and I just really can't wait to see where it goes. All right, I'll catch you later. Bye.